Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking to you about how to conceal under eye circles, no matter how dark they are, no matter what your skin tone. I'm going to give you some really cool tricks, explain to you what kind of concealers are best to use as far as colors go, how to kind of understand what you're doing, and then, it kind of makes it easier to select the right product, if that makes sense. I'm also going to give you a really cool tip on camouflaging actual areas of puffiness or bags that I know a lot of people get, that really no amount of concealer, when you've tried to apply it, is going to help, because it's an actual, it's your actual skin. You can't just make it disappear. And that theory kind of works the same with blemishes. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to conceal areas of the skin that's actual, like an actual texture thing. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate what I do on myself. I don't really have severe circles or anything, but I'm going to show you the difference between when my one eye is concealed and not. I'm going to demonstrate to you how I conceal mine, and then I'm going to go into some different products that you can use and kind of explain the theory behind why you would use an orange concealer or a pink concealer as your skin tone kind of gets darker or different or whatever. So keep watching, and I hope that this is helpful and that you can pick up some new tips and tricks. Okay, so on this side I've already applied my concealer. On this side I haven't. In person it's very noticeable. I can really tell. I'm not saying I have severe dark circles or anything, because I don't. I'm going to explain to you how to do it even if you do have really bad ones. But I can really tell. I hope that you can too. When you go to apply your concealer, when you first even think about covering your dark circles, you need to understand what you're covering. So you're not necessarily wanting to neutralize or cover the same colors under your eyes as you're covering on your skin. So under your eyes you have more kind of shadowy areas depending on your skin tone. Mine are more kind of bluish toned. I have it's just very thin skin, and you can see kind of straight through it. You just got to think of a color wheel. What's across from the color wheel, what shades are going to neutralize it, and all that. So since I don't have like blue circles, it's just kind of shadowy, I like to use a pink based concealer. I like to use the MAC NW shades. They're more warm. They are going to have more of a pinkish undertone. And I actually don't use a shade that's super light. A lot of people think that to cover dark circles you have to use a really light concealer. Sometimes that can accentuate the problem even more. My very favorite concealer to use for under eye circles is the MAC Select Moisture Cover. I use NW20. Now this shade, when you apply it, appears to be a little too dark, but that's okay, because I feel like it really kind of neutralizes the color rather than lightening everything up. So I apply it with my finger. I think that's kind of the best way to do it, right to the areas of shadow, and you can really tell that by looking down, and you can see right into the shadowy areas. So I just kind of pat that on, and you can kind of see already that it really just kind of really made it match my skin, and it really kind of neutralized the areas, and you can just kind of tap it on and apply a little more as you need it. Then I like to apply powder over it. Now that can be tricky, because I really hate the look of powder settled. I mean, who likes that, right? Now that sounds scary, because applying any kind of loose powder or powder at all under your eyes can sound scary because it can settle, right? I find that silica based powders really kind of glide on and don't settle, and they look really natural. If you use the Makeup Forever anything like this, like a transparent finishing powder, you can use a little bit of that and dab it on. But I like to use the Benefit Powder Flash. I've talked about this before. I love this. This is mine. I keep one in my kit as well. It's amazing. And I use a brush kind of like a MAC 224. This is by Studio Gear. It's a number 34. You can get these at Ulta. This one is just a little bit softer than a MAC 224. Put just a little bit of the powder. See, it's loose. It has a little sifter right onto the tip of the brush. And this product is actually sold as a brightening under eye concealer. If you don't have a lot of problems, obviously you can just use this on its own, but I like to use it kind of to set the concealer, and it just really kind of brightens everything up. Okay, now let's move on, because I know that I am definitely not the model for having super dark circles or anything like that, so this may not help some of you. But I want to tell you that no matter what your circles look like, you can cover them. And Benefit makes a really awesome product called Eye Bright. I don't have one with me right now, but I've used this product in the past. I've gone through several of them. I know I've had at least 2 of them. It's basically in a container like the Highbrow. It's a pink pencil. It's like a really light creamy pink. What you can do is if you have very, very dark blue circles, if you look down and you really, really see a deep, deep shadow, or if you have eye bags, like if you have baggy areas, you can take that pencil and apply it just to the area that recedes, or like the fold or the area right underneath the bag. You apply this to that area just in short little strokes. You blend it in with your finger. You could even use a pink toned concealer. This is one of the correcting quads from Blemishes, and this is the one that just has all of the the basic color correcting tones. You can even use a pink like that. A lot of brands have basic pink ones, but I really like this one because it's very, very creamy, and it's extremely opaque, so you can use a teeny amount of that stuff, dab it on the blue areas, and it'll be gone. Then you can take your concealer that is just a little bit warm, so use an NW if you're using MAC, and dab it right over it. Apply your setting powder if you do that, and then you're done. I find that the powder flage actually works better on most skin tones rather than a white transparent finishing powder, even though it says transparent. This one works really well on darker skin tones as well. Now, if you have a darker skin tone, it's very, very simple to cover. Well, I'm not going to say simple because I know a lot of you were like, it is not simple to do that. But there are ways that you can cover your dark circles. And my favorite way, my favorite little trick, is to use an orange-based concealer. These are my MAC Studio Finish correctors. I think that's what they're called. These are really, really great. This is the orange. I know that there's different, products you can use for this. I really like the way that these work and blend and stuff. They really, really work nicely on the skin. What you would do is I know it sounds insane to apply an orange concealer to your under eye area because you don't want that to look orange either, right? On your areas that are very, very blue, like I said, look down. You can take your finger or you can take a small brush, like a concealer brush. This is a 195, and take that orange, dab it right over the areas that are the darkest. Okay, now that you've used your color corrector, you can take your more natural toned, I like to use a more warmer toned concealer, like an NW shade again. Use a little bit on your finger, tap it right over. I find that these Studio Moisture Cover, that this formula really kind of blends better over another product. It doesn't, cake up or anything like that. That being said, also on darker skin, you could even use a more caramel toned concealer like this to go, right underneath your eye, right over the areas of dark circles. Blemishes also has a dark concealer palette. This one, you could use a shade like this, or you could even use this one that's a little bit lighter to counteract those darker circles on those of you that have darker skin tones as well. These are really, really opaque. I think that these Blemishes correctors are much more opaque than these, but these work really well too. Now, as far as the order, like when to apply concealer, do I do it before foundation, do I do it after? I kind of do it both ways. It really, really doesn't matter one way or another. I know that a lot of times I wait and do it last. After my foundation, before I do my eyes. A lot of people like to wait and do it after they've done their eyes so that they can clean up any areas of fallout. If you're not comfortable with that and you get a lot of fallout, then you may want to wait and do your under eye concealer last, or even, everything last. But that's totally, totally up to you. A lot of things that people also deal with that are very, very frustrating are bags. Obviously, or, puffiness and stuff like that under the eyes. Obviously, no amount of concealer is going to make those disappear, because that's your actual skin. You're still going to be able to see that texture. But there are some things that you can do to definitely kind of play tricks on the eye and kind of make it much, much less noticeable. What I like to do is, if you think of, what an area of puffiness looks like, or an area that is sticking out, the baggy part is going to be lighter, and then there's going to be like a little folded area underneath that's casting a shadow. What you want to do is you want to kind of neutralize that. So on the actual puff or the bag, you want to apply a concealer or any kind of product that is close to your skin tone, but just a few shades darker. Again, I'd use an NW shade just to be safe. If you're like an NW20, you may want to try an NW20 or an NW25, something that's slightly darker than your skin tone. Dab that on the actual puffy part. Underneath the eye, you may want to apply something like a really, really light peach or a light pink. You could use this. I believe this one's called Peach or Light Peach. This is the Studio Finish corrector by MAC. Or you could use something like that pencil by Benefit that I was talking about. This one's Highbrow that I keep showing you. You could use this. It's a really light pink, but the Eye Bright one is kind of a brighter pink, so I kind of prefer that one to use under the eye. Then when you apply that and, you know, tap that in, it really kind of reverses the effect and kind of makes it less noticeable. Same applies to concealing very large blemishes. If you have a huge blemish that is like, no matter what you put on it, you can still see it, you know, even though it matches your skin, it's still there and you can see it. Same applies to that. You can take a product that's slightly darker, or very kind of, you know, a foundation or a concealer that's slightly darker, dab it on the blemish, put a lighter shade underneath it. You know, where it casts the shadow, just kind of lighten that up, and it really is going to, you know, it's a really cool trick. So, I hope that helped. I know it was a lot of talking, but I think that, you know, when things like this are concerned, you know, there's a lot of explaining involved. Also, check out my blog, because I have been posting a lot of kind of different posts on there lately, like reviews, swatches, a lot of things that I don't always make a video about, because I would be making videos like all the time, if I wanted to get in all of that. So definitely check out my blog for more information and stuff like that, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye. Then you can do something a little different. When you go to cover your under eye circles that are